Hi juniors, it's Mrs. Bomey and I'm here to walk you through Lesson 1, Recognizing Claims and Finding Evidence. I'm in the slide deck that was shared with you by your teacher in Google Classroom. On this first slide, you're going to see your student objectives. They relate to the Common Core State Standards and the goals that we have for you guys for this lesson. On this screen, you're going to see the various student products and turn-in guidelines. The Quizlet is going to be completed in Quizlet. There's nothing to turn in anywhere else. We suggest you do it in this order. Do the learn, write, spell, match portions and the gravity game, then go back and do the test. You don't want to do the test until you've done all of the practice and learning steps along the way. For your Flipgrid, you're going to be completing that in your teacher's Flipgrid assignment. There are direct links for Mr. Ash and Mrs. Ruggles, and there is a general link to Flipgrid for my students. On slide 5 for the quick question and for annotating the article, you're going to do that in the article that was shared with you in Google Classroom. We strongly suggest that you print the article and annotate by hand. Much better for your learning and internalizing of these skills, but you can do it digitally if you want. If you do it by hand, make sure that you take photos of both pages of the article, nice, clear, well-lit photos so we can see your annotations. And we prefer that you insert those images nice and large into a Google Doc. You can attach them separately though. And for the So You Say assignment, you're going to go ahead and make sure you click the Submit button in the Google Classroom assignment once you're done editing that drawing. This slide deck, please note, is not part of your assignments. It's simply directions. You don't need to turn that in. For the vocabulary section, as you're working your way through, make sure that you stop here and do the 7 types of evidence Quizlet that I mentioned previously. And your vocabulary check is your Flipgrid assignment. This is part of your listening and speaking grade for the week. So go ahead and practice it and re-record it as many times as you need to make sure that you do a very good job defining these 4 terms. Remember, your video should leave us in no doubt that you understand what these words mean and how they're different from each other, but we want to hear it in your own words. And you're limited to 1 minute. So that's 15 seconds that you can take to talk to us about what the term argument means and differentiate it from claims, from evidence, and from reasons. Next, you're going to get into reading. The article Escaping Poverty has been shared with you in Google Classroom. Again, we encourage you to print it. Your first read should be a cold read. This should be something that you're familiar with. You're going through the article cold, no warm-up whatsoever. You're just reading it. Some of you may want to read it on the screen. Some of you may want to listen to Mr. Ash's audio version that's linked here. And some of you may like to combine those 2 things. Listen to Mr. Ash as you read along in your document. Your purpose here is just to get comfortable with the content. It's just a first look at it. You're not supposed to completely understand it, so don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. Now that you've gotten to the end of the article, at the bottom, jot down 5 keywords that stuck with you. Just what are 5 words that you really remember the most from that cold read? What would you say were some of the key vocabulary words? Then when you do your second read, now is the time for you to get out all your pens and highlighters and get ready to get in there and mark some things up. Now is the time in the second read when you can start putting yourself onto the page and marking all over, top, side, margins, every which way. Get in there and circle, highlight, write questions, do all the things that you were taught to do in terms of annotating a document. In the next step, you're going to open up a document called So You Say, which has this Google drawing in it. And in this step, you're going to be paraphrasing the author's claim in the center. Remember that paraphrasing means putting things in your own words, not strictly copying directly from the document. In step 4, you're going to do that though. You're going to find a quote that you think establishes the claim. Underline it in the article, and then you're going to type it or write it, depending on how you're doing this, in the center of the wheel. So you will have your version of the claim, and then underneath it, you're going to have a quote directly from the article. In step 5, you're going to go through the article again. Yes, you are reading through it yet another time, looking for the reasons that the author cites that support his claim. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 slots for you to provide reasons. Make sure you give us 4. Your wheel's almost complete. Next step here with the pink is you're going to provide evidence or examples for each reason. So you've got your paraphrase of the claim, you have a quote. For reason 1, provide 1 piece of evidence that you think supports reason 1. For reason 2, provide 1 piece of evidence that you feel supports reason 3, etc. You can use actual quotes in quote marks, and don't forget to cite page 1 or page 2 from the article, or you can paraphrase it, meaning putting it in your own words. It's not necessary to use complete sentences through here. Your space can be a little bit limited, but if you're doing it as a drawing, you can reduce the size of the font or change it up a bit to make it fit. But keep it readable for your teachers, okay? Remember, we're going to be looking at these on a screen for grading them, so be kind to our eyes. If you have any questions, please go ahead and directly reach out to your teacher through whichever method your teacher has established. Here's all of our emails here. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in class.